Okay, recording. Hi there. My name is Sarah Elise, and I'm an astrologer in Toronto, Canada. It is Friday, May 22nd, and we are having our new moon as we speak. And I'm sending this out late because I had all three of my kids home with me yesterday. I was supposed to work on the newsletter yesterday. I'm so sorry. I got waylaid, sidetracked, as it were, as we are during this COVID quarantine. So often I'm called to be a mother. So my sincere apologies, guys. You know, and I've been also going through just like the ringer personally. It's very difficult for me to put this out today. I'm feeling very strongly this new moon because it's conjunct my sun and my south node. So it's bringing up a lot of stuff for me. And I've been contemplating what I want to say. And there are two things I want to talk about today with you guys. I want to talk about the new moon, but that's actually the minor thing that I want to talk about. What I really want to get into with you is our Venus retrograde. So we're going to talk about both of those things. And I think that the overall message, for those of you who are not going to make it to the end of this video, because I understand that they can be very long, the overall messages of today's reality, or what's going on today, is that we are in a cycle where we have to take full responsibility for our words and our mind and our thoughts. There is a cyclical kind of an invitation to see what we're thinking, see what we're dreaming, see who we think ourselves to be, see where our mind is focusing on. And to take responsibility for that and harness it in such a way that we allow this Neptunian square that's, you know, Neptune is square Venus right now, it's square Mercury right now. And Venus is the esoteric ruler of Gemini. Mercury is the exoteric ruler of Gemini. So the rulers of our new moon are squaring Venus. So we're feeling this real, I don't know, it's almost like there's this it's like if I could put a sound to it, that's what it sounds like in my interiority. It's like, it's almost like there's like this feeling of focal strength and power and intent surrounded by a cloud of sort of amorphic, nebulous energy that I can't penetrate. I feel like I'm being surrounded by kind of a magical invitation, and that within that I am a focused point of concentrated awareness. And the invitation is for us to kind of like say, okay, I'm clearly choosing to put my mind, Gemini, onto that which matters for me, Venus conjunct Mercury in Gemini. And what matters to me, I am going to reference spirit. I'm going to pull spirit in, you know. I'm seeing all the ways that I've given myself away. I've seen all the ways that I have engaged in dissociative thinking or engagement with other people's energy fields, or like the multiplicitous distractibility of the reality outside of me. I'm seeing all the ways that I can just let myself get pulled into some kind of dream state in my mind that isn't real. It's like a waste of time, actually, a distraction, right? Into the mental distractions that I get pulled into. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. I don't have to go into those distractions, do I? And as painful as it is to choose not to go in, because they're very familiar and they really have a lot of magnetism, our minds, the neural pathways in our minds are like well-worn trenches in the field, or well-worn paths in the forest. So to pull back our mental power from the places where it likes to go takes an enormous amount of will force, doesn't it? It takes power, it takes concentration and focus and discipline. And just the reminder is that, you know, we have an enormous amount of power and energy available to us when we want to connect with it. We have our own soul, we have our spirit, and we have all of our helpers at all levels of reality. All of life itself is essentially like stacked up for our benefit if we choose to align with it. Yeah. And so making that conscious decision to align with life and align with universal energy, align with universal intelligence, to line ourselves up, instead of getting distracted on the external reality, on the horizontal plane. When we choose to stack it up and come into alignment, mental focal alignment, concentration, internal reference pointing up and down the divine line, that's when we come into our self. Okay, that's when we are aligned with self. And that's when we can start to receive information. And when we start to love ourselves and really get into what we're here for, which is to be aligned. Like, we did not come incarnating on this planet to waste our time. Why would you want to? You know, at least I don't really want to. But then again, you know, in that in itself, there's a complex. So let's just not go there. That's my Capricorn moon issue right there. We'll not talk about that. Okay. So there's that lunar, the new moon, the pulse of the new moon, which is giving us this opportunity to kind of see our mental alignment and to choose what we're going to do with it. Where are you going to put your mind? How are you going to choose to communicate and to interact with life? How are you going to choose to see and think about life? It's your decision. You're in charge. This is your life. And so today is the seed planting for that, okay? Now, the other really powerful thing that's happening is that we are at the end of a very big, long cycle. It's the Venus star cycle, like the Venus cycle. She's a potent force on planet Earth. Venus is very close to us. She's never ever far away from the sun. She's in between us and the sun, right? She's our closest, dearest source of magnetic power and energy. She rules beauty and harmony. Her being, like her vibration or her magnetism, really, when we tune into it at the frequency that she operates inside of us, Venus will bring us into, in ourself, what we value most deeply, what our deepest sense of self is. So she rules that inner magnetism, like when you just like close your eyes and let yourself fall deeply into yourself, into the deepest place you can go, into the place that says, what really matters to me? What are my deepest values? What do I care about more than anything else? What do I want, like from within you? What do I choose? What matters? Like, we create our reality based on what we are inside, right? So Venus is that ability to magnetize in and touch ground with essentially with our deepest matter, with our root, with our body. Venus ruling Taurus, okay? And from that place, from that deep embodiment, from that magnetization within us, we then magnetize outside of us the situations that reflect that inner value. So we'll engage with others. We pull relationships to us that reflect our sense of inner value. Okay, and so that's when Venus is ruling Libra. So Venus is either ruling Taurus, the internal deep state of connectivity we have with our own interior space. And we've all been getting very, very deep this last month because the sun has been in Taurus. So there's been this embodiment impulse, and we've also been in quarantine. So there's not a single person out there who's not been getting in touch with themselves. And the deeper and deeper and deeper you go, the more and more authentic you become, because you face all the layers of detritus and pain and toxic behavior and imprinting and past lives and karma, and everything that's going on in you is going on inside. So you're gonna be, the more you go in, the more you go down, and the more you face it and the more you embody and the stiller you get, the more powerful you become, and the more in alignment you become, right? The more whole you become. So that's a beautiful Venus dance, isn't it? Can't think of a better thing to do. And then from that place of wholeness, we can co-create magical, beautiful relationships that are, you know, that are perfectly reflective of our own interior need and our own interior desires, our own interior beauty, and our own interior love. Because we can't love another unless we love ourselves. It's impossible. We can only, we treat others the way we treat ourselves. This is like there's like this crazy law in the universe, like that we are all one, and that the separation is an illusion. So when we treat ourselves, the way we are inside us is immediately reflected on the outside of us in the relationship engagements that we create. And if you spend some time reflecting on that, you'll see that that's very true. So Venus, she works to teach us about that. So her whole job, like the cycles of Venus, bring us into deeper and deeper states of love with ourself and love with others, okay? The internal and the external are the same. They're happening simultaneously. And you can track these cycles of your own evolution toward deep embodiment and love. Like all of us are here to learn on Earth School. And we're all here to overcome karma and memory and genetic programming and family karma, whatever it is. We're not perfect, and we're all moving toward this wholeness state. So when you look at the cycles of Venus, you can really track your progress. Venus moves in, I'm just learning this, by the way. I'm just going to be like very upfront with you. There are, oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. My dog got dropped off with her walker. Anyway, I was saying there are astrologers out there who are much more adept than I am at this cycle, and they have been studying it for years. So I'm not going to pretend that I have all the technical details down. I really don't. I'm learning it. So let me share a few of the light details instead of getting into all of the depth and the mathematics. Okay, so Venus works in 8-year cycles, and during that time, she loops around the sun, and her dance with the earth, as the earth and Venus are rotating around the sun, makes this energetic pattern. It makes this kind of like this geometrical shape that they call the Venus rose, I believe. It's like a beautiful flower, and it has 5 petals, okay? And each of these petals represents a different pulse of energy within the overall 8-year Venus cycle. So she kind of works in the big picture is the 8-year cycle, and then inside of each of the petals, she's got about 1.5 years that she cycles through. So you can kind of track, like, there's like a big theme for the 8 years, and our big theme of this Venus cycle started in 2012, in the summer of 2012, in around June, I believe, of 2012. Okay, so, and then every 1.5 years after that, she would have made a different petal, a different piece of that cycle would have come alive in you. The last petal, we're on the last petal right now. We are finishing the last petal, which the final petal began in October of 2018. So in October, at the end of October 2018, we began the final petal of this 8-year cycle. And now today, right now, we are completing it. And it will be complete on June the 3rd. So Venus, I'm not going to get into all the inferior conjunctions and the blah, blah, blah. I'll put something in the newsletter, okay? So you can check out my website. And again, I just don't have the capacity to go into all those details right now. The most important meaning from what's happening is that at the end of the cycle, when she goes retrograde, because she only goes retrograde like once in every petal, she's asking us to go inside and make a love review, essentially. So a love review. What does that mean? Well, a love review is like a review of how we're doing with what I was talking about before, with how much we're loving ourselves from within. Like how deep is down, like how deep down are you going? How much are you honoring and respecting your own divine beauty, your own divine worthiness, your own importance? How are you honoring and respecting the things that matter to you, what you want? You know, one of the things that I've noticed is that we like to give ourselves away to others. We like to compromise our own integrity in order to get love. This is a great big pattern. Have you ever noticed that you do that? Where you will like literally like kind of give yourself away, or and it's so subtle. It's so subtle. Like we barely notice that we're doing it. We barely notice that we're doing it. We find something outside of us that makes us really excited and happy. A person, say a relationship, someone we're attracted to, and they're really like, we love them, or we want to anyway. And then, you know, if there's like this, okay, well, if I want that love, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose that love, right? So I'm going to compromise or become something that love wants me to be so that I can have it. So I don't lose it, because I don't want to live without that love. And automatically you've now missed the point of love. You've now just engaged in karma. You've now just engaged in like a codependent sacrifice of your own integrity. And there is like, that is always going to come back to haunt you. You're always going to be thrust back in upon yourself, because the only true relationship is with your own heart and your own love. Love comes from within you. You are the creatrix. You are the manifester of love. You are the source of love. Like the love is what you are. So if you're seeking it, if you're seeking to get it outside of you, the universe is going to come and slap your hand. And it's going to say, no, you can't have it there. You need to look inside you. And that will happen again and again until you find your way home, until you find your way into alignment with true love, with Venus. She is the source of love, right? Goddess is the source of love, okay? Not humans. Goddess is the source of love, not humans. So during the Venus retrograde, we get to come back inside and we get to say, let me be really, really honest about my patterns and my relationship dynamics and the ways that I've sacrificed myself for something that I couldn't find outside of myself anyway. And how do I come back in, and how do I reclaim who I am, and what are my values and what matters to me, and all that stuff, like all this stuff. And during a Venus retrograde cycle, which would have started, I'm just looking here, the retrograde officially started May 12th. The shadow, the early shadow, was at the beginning of April, around April 9th. So she entered her shadow in April 9th. So let's just say that all through April, up until around May 12th, we were going through an entry. We were being initiated into the entry point of the retrograde. So we were like, the stuff that was happening to us through April and into early May, if there was any relationship dynamics that came up, you want to take a look at them. Reflect on them objectively. Turn your witness on and say, what was happening? How was I feeling? Who was coming into my life? What were they bringing up? What were the patterns that I needed to see? What was I learning, right? All of this stuff. Then on May the 12th, we went into retrograde. So from May the 12th till June the 3rd, we are completing this petal, and we're completing the entire 8-year cycle that started in 2012. So right, like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't even like want to hang out with anybody right now. Like, I am so deeply immersed in my own self right now. I can't, it's like, it's just like the work is in, you know, I'm like, I'm digging, I'm looking, I'm loving, I'm filling. I dreamt with Venus the other night. She was with me the entire night, like this stable, strong, steady force. I just felt this beautiful, like magnetism deep into my own body. And I don't think I've ever been this deep in my own body. It's amazing, but I don't really care about anybody else right now. And what I'm realizing is that to get to the next level of relationship, I need to let go of looking for love completely. And I need to learn how to come from love and then to want to share love. So there's a very different dynamic of relationship, I think, that happens when we stop looking for love and when we start seeking to share love. Sharing love is beautiful. Sharing love is highly recommended. Sharing love is where it's going to be. I'm going there. How about you? Not looking for it, not needing it, and not looking for it to fill a hole that exists in me, right? So I think that's my Venus cycle. I have a feeling that many of us are having the same lessons because we're not that complicated, like at a basic level, but the storyline that's around the lesson is going to be different depending on who you are. There's also going to be a different presentation of this Venus retrograde cycle based on where Gemini is in your chart. So where Venus is transiting in your chart, if you can look at your chart and see where's Gemini. Like for me, Gemini's in the 12th house. So I'm having a very spiritual experience with this. It's a very spiritual experience with me. But you might have Gemini in the 7th house, and then it's all playing out in your immediate relationships, in your partnership, in your marriage, right? It's playing out in the horizontal. It's playing out with other people. Or you might have Venus in the 10th house, so it's playing out in your role in society, in the way you take responsibility for who you are and how you present yourself out into the world. Like, depending on the context and where it's falling, you're going to find the content of the retrogradation, of the internalization or the lesson. Okay, so on June the 3rd, the new 8-year cycle begins. This is very, very important. And I believe also this is very important for our new moon today, because what I want to do today is I want to plant the seeds for that new cycle. Like, I know this is coming. I can see what I'm trying to learn. I'm still in process. I mean, the Neptune square to Venus and Mercury right now is not it's not easy to see what's happening. Like, I'm still kind of in the muck, and I'm sure you guys are feeling a little confused and in the muck as well. Like, there's like this it's like we're trying to find the alignment with the divine. We're trying to find spiritual alignment, but we're having to face into all these illusions that we've created that aren't real, and we somehow have to navigate this emotional world of love through these illusory dramas that we've become accustomed to. And so we're trying to find our way through this fog of imagination and projection and creation. It's all happening in the mind and the mental level, but we're kind of like working through it, right? Trying to find this place of clarity and strength and beauty. And this is going to continue, but just keep going and keep trying to define it. And today at the new moon, I feel like it's really important for us to set some intentions about where we would like to end up and how we would like to create into the next 8-petaled or 5-petaled 8-year cycle. So there's like a real need for us to sort of sit down and come into our own accountability today and to dream our own reality. Yeah, so what are some of the things that we can do to prep for this next cycle on June 3rd? We can just like be observant about what's happening and be observant about the people who are coming back into our lives. Oftentimes in Venus retrograde, old lovers will return, old relationships will rise, so that you can see the amount of progress you've made or not made, so that you can reflect on where it's come. There's often sort of a reclamation of your heart, like a re-owning of your heart. A closing off of old patterns, perhaps even a cord cutting. And sometimes in the retrograde, you can start something new, or something that is from the past can start afresh. There can be a new birth, a way of letting go of the way something has been, and then birthing something new, so that you don't have to stay stuck in the old pattern, right? And remember right now that a lot of this is happening in the mental field, because it's Venus in Gemini. So it's happening in the realm of the mind and how we cognate and how we communicate. So that's it. I think that's a lot of information for you guys. And today on this new moon cycle, I'm just going to be keeping my mind in mind and keeping my heart and my mind aligned, okay? Keeping your heart and your mind aligned and learning how to think and communicate from your heart and learning how to plant the seeds for your own beautiful, soulful expression in this next month. Is there a way that you could create more harmony through the words you choose? Is there a way that you could connect with people from a more selfless place or a more curious place or an open-minded place? Gemini is like a significant theme for us for the next year and a half because we have the nodes that just entered Gemini Sag. So there's this real need for us to be very discerning about where we're coming from and how we're interacting mentally with the environment around us. Like if we're coming from a place of always wanting to be right or righteous, rather than this place of kind of open-mindedness, this place of kind of beginner mind or clear mind, of receptive mind, like that's a big question for us right now. Are we receiving information as it truly is, or are we receiving it through a filter that's pulling us down into some kind of a belligerent, narcissistic belief structure, right? Are we bigoted, or are we polarizing based on some kind of an internal emotion and believing, like, and then filtering the information through that place? Or are we really seeing what's going on? Are we really clearly receiving information from other people? Gemini also esoterically, just FYI, is the energy that builds the antakarana between the lower and the higher self. It is through our mental ability to perceive reality that we get an every single moment-to-moment choice about how we are aligning to that information that we're perceiving and to the reality around us. Everything happens in the mind. So if you have absolute mental clarity and control, and you can have the heart and the mind connected, and you can perceive the reality objectively without judgment, but from the heart, so that you're loving the reality as it is and witnessing it. That doesn't mean you're becoming it, or that doesn't mean you're taking it on. That doesn't mean you are choosing to believe it. You're just receiving it. And you're just in a constant state of energetic open flow with it. That is the ultimate in Gemini fluidity and grace. That's the ability to kind of connect the higher mind to the self, to the heart, and to free the lower mind that is always like wanting to judge and create like constructs and create understandings and create words and labels and all of this stuff. It's very analytical, it's very didactic, but there's a place within that where you can just find a space of emptiness and of clear being. And I think that's the ultimate space for our mind, isn't it? Because the mind should not be in control. We should have our mind in its seat, and our higher mind should be in control. We should be in that state of kind of intuitive awareness and open-mindedness. And that's such a gentle, beautiful expression of Gemini, because Gemini is so clearly a loving sign when it's in its alignment. You know, it is so unjudgmental, it is so fluid, it's so open, it's so beautiful. So if we can all kind of gracefully embrace that today for our new moon, if we can all consider the cycles of Venus and what she's bringing to us right now, if we can all deepen our relationship with the goddess, with knowing that we are the source of love, and that all the love within us, it is only from within us that we create the external reality. So we have to take responsibility for the way we're loving ourselves. That is how we will love others, right? That is how we will attract the love that we want as well to us, is when we fully embrace who we are, when we fully admit to ourselves and we're no longer lying to ourselves about who we are, when we're not giving ourselves away in any way at all, when we're fully in the seat of our soul, we will then manifest the desired outcome that we truly deserve, right? So there you go. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. I'm going to say goodbye. I hope this video worked. Please leave a comment, and I love you all very much. Take care. Bye-bye.